Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Now, Saturday may be a traditional off day for the American workforce, but Saturday during training camp is not an off day for Judd's Camp Notes. So here we are. We're just going to hit you with, I don't know, we say 20 minutes. Who knows? An hour later, maybe we're still blabbing. But just a quick little Judd's Camp Notes to start your weekend off here. Last weekend in July. Hello, Judd.
Hello, Phil. So, unbeknownst to us, the Friday practice was a walkthrough, okay? So, first of all, I'm going to give you, no exciting highlights because there were none. O'Connell and a contingency, including a few young players from the Vikings, attended the funeral service for Kyrie Jackson. O'Connell gave a very nice speech.
It was great, yeah.
It was really, he
got choked up.
Well, he's so good speaking publicly. But they were not there, and so the Vikings just went through what ended up being a shortened up walkthrough. But Judd's Camp Notes, they don't rest. They go to the podium, and they listen to players, including JJ McCarthy. So let me frame this up for you, why I am so interested here, okay? Because the plan is not for him to start. The plan is actually not to dissect his bad, oh my God, he threw a pick, he's a bust, he's Ponder 2.0. I'm more interested in how the Vikings, how Kevin O'Connell, and ultimately McCarthy, I'm more interested in the thought process of development here. Because, again, this is not something we've seen here. We've never seen a top 10 draft pick at quarterback. Culpepper was developed really well, but that's now how long, Phil? 24 years ago? 25 years ago?
It's been a minute.
25 years. Yeah. 99, because that was the year of the process. And so what's just from an interesting standpoint is on Thursday, as is the case with all teams, the starting quarterback, in this case Sam Darnold, went to the podium, and once a week, Darnold, as long as he's starting, we'll talk. But what makes it intriguing is on Friday, McCarthy did. Not because there's this big competition, but because, thankfully, the Vikings are smart enough to know that the future and the interest right now lies in what does McCarthy have to say, and they're smart enough not to do a scrum off to the side, which would be attended by a ton of folks. So it's literally an audible out of the playbook to send a second quarterback to the podium, but the Vikings do. I appreciate that. We all do. McCarthy, a very smart kid, very intriguing. And what I learned yesterday, and it sort of crystallized overnight in a haze of several beers last night, but it sort of crystallized for me from what McCarthy said and what O'Connell has said. What are they doing here? Not are they going to be successful, but what are they doing? What's the plan as far as all of the intricacies? And McCarthy had a quote early in the presser, Phil, in which he said that he's been told by Coach O'Connell, the process is the progress. The process is the progress.
Sounds like a T-shirt idea.
It does. And it sounds like something that a coach could think up. So I asked him early in the press conference, what's your definition of a successful year? We all have ours. What's yours? And he basically said to show up and make progress every single day. Some cliches, but they were telling, and here's why. They were telling because what crystallized in my mind last night was in this sort of tightrope of getting Darnold to start, but yet making McCarthy the most important player in some ways in that camp as far as a young up-and-coming, you are the future of our franchise. What O'Connell has done is he has basically told JJ McCarthy, don't be afraid of mistakes, which is, just to be clear, the anti-way, I think, in some ways, that he went about it with Cousins, because he wanted Cousins to make some tough throws, but there was definitely an expectation of you can't make mistakes, too.
Although Cousins, the first camp with O'Connell, Cousins was encouraged, try stuff. Yes. Don't worry about throwing interceptions in a red zone drill on July 30th. So that theme of Kevin O'Connell's coaching has kind of carried through.
Right. I guess the difference I felt with Kirk was there was an urgency to try it and clean it up, With JJ, there is no urgency. There is you're gonna screw up at times. That's fine. That's not the end of the world. What we want to do is develop you. We want you to be successful. You're gonna get a lot of snaps, but we're not like watching them all and dissecting them and saying, well, that snap means he can't play. And so what this is to me is this is removing all urgency for now and all pressure as much as possible from the expectation internally. So like if we get impatient, I think he said that the Vikings don't care. Like if the media or the fan base is like, oh, come on. I think he said, hey, kid, just take a step back. We want you to learn. Your mechanics are, from a footwork standpoint, essentially being redone. And so what we don't want is we don't want you to feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, A, because you have a bad practice, or B, because you screw up.
Yeah, and and the way that they've sort of formatted that quarterback room, they have the luxury of they don't really need him. They're not pushing to win a Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to publicly say we don't really care about winning this year. Like they don't want to go 2-14. So they've done a good job. Where they've got Darnold as a shield. They got Nick Mullins as a shield, and hell, you know what? Jaron Hall has a year of experience now. If they need to throw him out as a shield, they could. But here's my macro question for you, because I sense that you're right. I mean, down to even remember a few months ago or like June or May during OTAs, and we were going through Vikings.com photo albums. Yeah, they posted like 200 photos of players from practice, and here's CJ Ham, and here's Dwayne McBride, like the third or fourth running back, and you had to get to photo 96 in the album before they showed the quarterback of the future. They were really going out of their way. I mean, just behind the scenes, we don't do a ton of guests on this show, but when we ask for Kevin O'Connell, like Kevin O'Connell comes on once or twice a year. Like we were told with JJ McCarthy, he's maybe some other time. Like we put in a request to have him on the show. We're not like mad at the Vikings, but they were trying to keep the profile low, media. Mm-hmm. Let's not trot him out there and get people excited. Mm-hmm. I'm all about, what did you say? The process
is the progress.
Is the progress?
Yes, the process, the progress.
I'm all about the slow cook. I'm all about no pressure right now. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, mm-hmm. the Green Bay Packers did a 3-year no pressure thing with their quarterback.
Yeah.
They get halfway into a season last year. I mean, it's like early November, and they're thinking, boy, like we're taking the car out of the garage for the first time, and the engine doesn't seem like it's running very well, right?
Like stopping and starting.
Yeah. The transmission needs to be replaced already. And then he gives you like 9 good games, Jordan Love, at the end of the season. And now we have to make a big decision. And now they're paying him 50, whatever. We wake up this morning and he's the highest paid quarterback in NFL history.
Yeah.
So, and again, there's a vast middle ground there. But at what point is the process no longer the progress, and we need to like actually see a player that can carry this franchise? Is it 2025? Like, when do we start ramping up some urgency here? That's my question. Not now. I'm fine with that. But when do we?
Right. Yeah, I think this is a short-term out of the garage plan. To go back to the car analogy, I think that the expectation very much, and this is just my own opinion, but I think the expectation very much is that he's going to play in 2025. I think what they're I think this is unlike the Packers thing with Jordan Love, who sat there, to your point, for the majority of his rookie contract, which I'm sorry, I think is ridiculous. I think this is a 1-year plan of, and especially a training camp plan. I think what they're hoping in some ways is the public, and they're not right, but that the public sort of forgets about McCarthy's there for a while. But the work is not going to end, and there is definitely going to be expectations. But I think to start off with, Kevin O'Connell is very cognizant of, if I put those expectations on this kid now, I'm just going to crush him with pressure potentially. Yeah. And so this to me is certainly not a Packer like, Rodgers, you're going to sit. Love, you're going to sit, which almost has become a franchise trend. This is a special, how can I put this? Special individualized JJ McCarthy plan, both physically and mentally, to get him to a place where he can play. Also, Phil, from what O'Connell was talking about in the press conference that we both attended, pre-training camp press conference on Monday, if you think about it, the first example he brought up was the Dwayne Haskins plan, right? The late Dwayne Haskins. Washington drafts him. They're like, okay, slow cook. We're going to have some time. We don't need to play him. And then somebody comes downstairs and says, he's got to play right now. And it just all gets screwed up. I think that this might be like, if we were to do a pie chart of why this plan, like, okay, small sliver fans,
Yeah.
media. I think there might be a sliver of the Vikings doing this also to tone down the expectations and pressure from ownership, business operations, football ops probably on board completely, right?
Yeah.
But the people above them, like, again, and this is a very different era or a very different quarterback situation. But the plan was for Donovan McNabb to come here and play and Christian Ponder to learn. And all of a sudden, it was, okay, McNabb sucks. We got to put Ponder in. So I think this is a multi-tiered thought process of how can we do right by the kid and by us and not get extra chefs in the kitchen demanding things that they don't understand.
The Dwayne Haskins thing is really interesting because one of the biggest questions we were asking throughout the lead up to the draft, and then once they drafted McCarthy, what's the plan going to be? We pointed out on this show numerous times that Kevin O'Connell has this unique history as a coach and as a player where he's been in the room with the Tom Brady's, the Matthew Staffords, the Kirk Cousins, some of the best in the last 20, 25 years, true professionals. But then he's also been around Dwayne Haskins and saw that crumble in front of him, and Johnny Manziel too. People kind of forget about the Johnny Manziel because Kevin O'Connell has made reference to the Dwayne Haskins thing. But
yeah.
I believe O'Connell was the quarterback's coach, or was he the offensive coordinator?
I think he was the quarterback's coach in Cleveland. I think you're right.
Yep. So he in 2015, Manziel's second year, and Manziel was a train wreck behind the scenes and on the field in both of his years in Cleveland. So 2015, it was Johnny Manziel's second year. Now, he only played in like 2 or 3 games his rookie year because he was a disaster. But the franchise felt pressure to put him out there. He was not ready to be a starting quarterback in year 2 when O'Connell was there either. O'Connell knew that. Well, guess who the starting quarterback was that got bumped in 2015 for Johnny Manziel? Josh McCown in Cleveland. So almost 10 years ago, Josh McCown and Kevin O'Connell had a front row seat to a young quarterback who had no business being on the field in an NFL football game, leading a franchise as the starter or anything. And then Dwayne Haskins, obviously, like ownership puts pressure. So I sense that Kevin O'Connell has learned a lot from those 2 disasters, and he's going to err on the side of, hey, only if this dude proves on every front, physically, he can make all the throws, make all the reads, he can lead a team. There doesn't seem to be any question about JJ McCarthy's maturity or leadership.
Right.
And I think with both Dwayne Haskins and with Johnny Manziel, major questions and red flags about maturity, leadership, etc. So yeah, this is going to be. I'm okay with this for now for 2024, but at some point you got to take advantage of a rookie scale contract. That's why people praising the Packers up and down like this. Look at the Packers are the only team that has the patience to let this play out. Okay, congrats. You got 1 year of a rookie scale quarterback, and now you have to pay $55 million starting here going forward, and you're going to have to make roster decisions. Like, all right.
Well, and you're paying that. The problem, too, is you're paying that off of essentially 8 really good games.
I know.
So, like,
and I think he's going to be good. I think they got lucky for the third time going back 30 years, but man.
This, to me, though, from the Vikings standpoint and O'Connell's, is really a psychological play with McCarthy to try and put him back to your point about Haskins. And Manziel's tough because you're right. He's an example, but he was such, he's going gambling and he didn't learn the playbook. And I think that at the end of the day, guys like O'Connell were probably like disgusted because they're like, I didn't make it, you bleepity bleep, and you could make it, but you don't care. But I think the important thing here is for O'Connell to be the adult in the room who manages expectations, including of McCarthy. And I think like this is where his failures and this is where his past experience is so interesting. I don't think this is like, if you can't play in 25, don't sweat it. But much like a good parent who steps in if there's trouble for the kid sometimes, provided the kid isn't screwed up majorly, and says, I'll take care of this. This feels like that, which is I'll take care of the expectations. In fact, I'll manage them, which he's good at doing. I mean, to go back to, he is a fantastic public speaker. He is a calming presence. I mean, and this doesn't, I'm not saying he's a great coach. I don't know yet, but you can tell what works for him. And I think trying to deflect things, but yet, you know what, Phil? I love the fact, and this starts with O'Connell, that they sent JJ to the podium to address us.
Yeah.
Some teams would be like, no. But I think O'Connell's smart enough to realize if you do that, it almost makes it worse.
Well, and so it's twofold. It's you got to, from an organizational marketing standpoint, even like there's some business aspect to this where
Sure.
you just traded up into the top 10 for the first time ever. Let's let the guy talk to the media once in a while. But also, doesn't this prove sort of as a test for JJ McCarthy that part of this, obviously, we need you to make the reads and work on your footwork and make the throws and spit the play out and timing and all those things. But you also need to be an adult, walk up to a podium in front of cameras and media and speak on behalf of yourself and the team. Because that's part of a quarterback's job, is to be the vice president or this whatever, even like the CEO of the 53-man roster, and get up there and be sort of presidential in that way. And so I think it's all part of the growth process of, if you want to be a franchise quarterback, we can't hide you from the media and then throw you out there
But good
eventually.
for them.
Yeah.
Like there are some teams that would not have him talk.
It's
Hey, he's not the starter. He's not going to talk, or he's going to. It's so strategic. That's what just interests me so much. This is such a strategic play, and unlike the Packers, who literally just mothballed the kid, they're not mothballing him, but they're definitely trying to adjust the pressure and make sure that he develops. And before McCarthy talked, Wes Phillips, the OC, talked, and there's another story there because we talked about the snap counts. Like, it is not ordinary for Darnold. I think I in Judd's camp notes on Friday quoted you. He got something like in Thursday's practice 21 snaps, and McCarthy. Now Darnold's were all with the first team. McCarthy's were with the second team, but McCarthy got like 19 snaps. Like, that's a fine line. That's not normal.
Yeah, but there's a lot of benefit just beyond quarterback for the Vikings to give the number 2 offense a lot more reps, to kind of give them almost like 50% snap share. Because in addition to trying to get McCarthy up to speed, they have a guard battle going on. They're trying to get Dalton Reisner right guard snaps, which they're doing with the second team offense. And they have a number 3 wide receiver battle with like 4 or 5 different options. And they're rotating a bunch of those guys in with the 2s. So there's a lot of things to look at with the number 2 offense right now beyond even quarterback.
Yeah, but I mean, Wes acknowledged it's not simple. Like that's not just we'll just split up those snaps, and it's like you have to sit down and decide that because if Darnold comes out in week 1 and is not prepared, that's on the coaching staff as well. Like, there's a lot of very meticulous planning here. Would you like a little bit of reckless speculation on this Saturday?
Oh, wow.
Reckless speculation.
Please do.
Our friend Kevin Seifert, ESPN, asked a fantastic question of McCarthy, which was, how did you get set up with Thielen to do some throwing? Because we've talked about this. I think it was at Woodbury High School, something like that, that McCarthy, who made it very clear that he stayed here after the off-season workouts were done and worked his ass off to try and learn, was throwing with Thielen. And McCarthy said, yeah, it was great. He said, Papa Ham set that up. And
Papa Ham, yeah.
Papa Ham. He goes, yeah, it's CJ Ham. We call him Papa Ham, which is now going to stick and is a definite T-shirt, back to your T-shirt point. But he also talked about how Thielen actually went so far as to work with McCarthy on what O'Connell likes, like the concepts, because he obviously spent a year here.
He's coming.
And so I'm just throwing it out there. Now I tweeted this out last night and was greeted with some trepidation in the contractual issues. The Panthers, I believe, aren't going to release him because they would take a huge cap hit. But check
I
that.
don't care about that.
Check that out. But they're not going to release him. I don't expect that. He's still good enough that he could get something. So my question goes back to, could you trade a 2022 6th round pick? Thielen clearly is trying to help, and I'm sure he's a good guy, but I'm also sure that there might be an end game here, and honestly, it wouldn't be a dumb move on Adam's part.
So a trade would be more financially viable, I believe, for them here. It's a lot easier after 2024. And Thielen's probably going to want to play another year. And by the way, you know what?
Yeah,
as a number 3 guy who can just kind of nestle in some different places, he'll still be able to run some routes at age 34. Maybe this is something that happens next year, and they go get him as a number 3 with just one last year in purple. I don't think they're going to cut him for that reason. They'd essentially be, let's see here, on over the cap right now. So I think his current cap number is $9.9 million, and that cap number actually goes up to 13.1 with the dead money for this year. But at the same time, let's see here, NFL cap space. First of all, the Panthers aren't going anywhere this year. If they had to eat some extra dead money, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
But they are, of all the team, every team has some cap space right now because you have to be cap compliant. Back a few months ago.
Right.
The Panthers are the 3rd closest to the cap line right now, so they would, if they were to move on from Thielen, a trade would seem likely. But if you're the Vikings, so right now you have a 1st and 2 5ths. You're not trading a 5th for Adam Thielen.
You're not trading a 25 pick. I'm saying,
but you could trade a 26
pick,
a 6th round pick in 2026.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
Yeah. I would not trade.
I would do it.
And I don't think I would give the Panthers more than a 6th round pick that could bump up to a conditional 5th. Maybe. Yeah. I don't think I would. But I am just saying that McCarthy sharing the fact that Thielen was trying to help him with concepts, things like that, is interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's makes some sense.
Reckless speculation.
You got a couple other nuggets before we part ways here?
Yeah. So it was a walkthrough, which meant that there was no contact, no real plays. You're literally going through plays, but you're just going through them in slow motion. Interesting to note, Shaquille Griffin, the cornerback who hurt his leg on Thursday, was not out there for this. Now, because O'Connell was not there, we're not going to get an injury update until today on Saturday, which is, by the way, the first day fans are allowed to watch practice. But 2 thoughts come to mind. Okay, they probably want to keep Shaq off that leg. He did something. But the second thought was, if it was just totally minor and he was just, I don't know, barely tweaked something, this is a walkthrough, so you would like him because he's new to be out there. So I don't know what the update's going to be from O'Connell today, but that being said, it's worth noting that he was not on the practice field at all, and that leads me to believe that he's going to miss at least a few days, hopefully for the cornerback's sake, because it's such a mess right now. Yeah. It's nothing more than that.
Yeah, and Stephon Gilmore hasn't signed anywhere yet. Let's just do our daily Stephon Gilmore.
No, he is not.
Let's see here.
No, he is not.
No, there's a couple. Some Vikings blogs are picking up that steam. Yeah, there's been really nothing on the Stephon Gilmore front. He's just. But if you're him, if you want to play another year, you're waiting for someone's starting cornerback to go down. Well, Rams and Vikings,
right?
Both check that box.
So there's 2 things at play here too when it comes to a guy like that, who I think we can both agree. There's 4 names out there, 5 names of veteran corners who can probably still play a little bit. But in Gilmore's case, I think he's atop that list. And here's sort of the interesting thing about a guy like that. One is, to your point, guys are starting to go down. So somebody's called him or going to pretty soon here. The second thing is, I wonder if he's trying to, because he's played a long time, avoid going to training camp right now. Because why would you?
33 years old.
Yeah. Well, and
that's what Brett Favre did for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Years, right?
But I mean, if you're Gilmore and you're still off, assuming that you're staying in tip-top condition, of course. But training camp's a beast. I wonder if the representation would say, hey, you know what? Thank you very much. We will consider that, and we will consider that in about 3 weeks.
And the Vikings would probably say the same thing because you say, is there really a difference if Stephon Gilmore comes in now versus 3 weeks from now? He's going to give you the same productivity in week 1. He's been in the league for 10 years. And the Vikings then would get 2 or 3 weeks to look at some of the younger guys, get a last look at Andrew Booth Jr., a little more of Caleb Evans,
True.
Some Dwight McLaughlin, those type of guys.
Yep. And you're not going to. So the thing with a guy like Shaq Griffin is he has never played in this defense before, so it probably does help to get him reps. Gilmore is familiar, at least, with concepts from his days with Flores with the Patriots. I'm not saying it's still all the same, but he wouldn't come in and have to probably go to page 1 of the Flores playbook.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that that he's probably gotten some calls and probably said, I will consider all. And plus, as more cornerbacks go down, a few more teams might call. And so 3 weeks, there's like
a market.
Bidding more time. So I don't think this means the Vikings aren't going to be proactive. I do think it probably means that when we talk about these guys, the more I think about it, probably not going to happen for a little while.
Yep. So Judd's camp notes. Any final? That's good. Yeah, we're good.
All I got for you.
The schedule, so they're off tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Saturday they've got, so today, I'll be out there in a few hours. They are going to be in shells, which means not full pads, but it's also shells. So you got some stuff on. Mm-hmm. Off Sunday.
Monday,
full pads on Monday.
Football.
Monday. I'll be out there with you Monday and Wednesday this week.
Prepare to sweat.
It's going to be, today it's going to be.
I know. It's a good beast.
Dude, this morning. So I can always tell. So our dog Maya, once the humidity hits a certain point, she's like, F this. It's like refuse. Like she'll go outside and be like, I'll tinkle once, but bring me back to my air conditioning.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You guys are going to be swassing out there at training camp. Judd's camp notes. Sweating through those new shorts and Adidas shoes that you're rocking.
Yeah, the new kicks are great, by the way.
They comfortable?
Yeah. My legs, my knees still hurt after standing in one spot to watch practice for an extended period of time. But the great thing is, when I get home, my feet don't hurt.
Oh, that's good.
Because they're a lot of padding in those shoes, a lot of support.
Declan and I were trying to get you to try some Allbirds, which are like having pillows on your feet all day.
Yeah.
It sounds like you got overruled that your wife kind of said, you're a little too old. I don't think you're too old for Allbirds. I will just throw that
I was told I would look rather foolish and that I should not go with those.
Maybe I'll get you some Allbirds for your birthday this fall. And you can
like
just try them on.
I will say this. Every time that I have tried to overrule the wife back on like shoes, I've been wrong.
Or you will get them and then you'll look like an idiot.
And then I'll be like, I do look like an idiot. So like Adidas, old school. Hey, you know what? Shout out to Adidas are back.
They're kind of making a comeback.
The Adidas, when I was a little kid, the Adidas Nike war was real, and Adidas won that war until Jordan.
Yeah.
And then Adidas got sort of buried, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. You know what else is? I don't know if it's a comeback, but it's like becoming cool for maybe the first time. New Balance. Now, people might disagree with me, but you know that like Shohei Ohtani, there's a bunch of like top athletes that are now New Balance athletes, led by Shohei Ohtani, baseball star.
So from a basketball standpoint, who reps them from NBA? Because Ant is Adidas, right?
Yeah, hold on a second. New Balance athletes. Let's see here. Just want to make sure they just landed. What's her name? The rookie Cameron Brink. They just landed Cameron Brink.
Nice.
Oh no, Ben Simmons was. Kawhi Leonard, kind of a weirdo.
So basically, get New Balance and don't play.
But the fact that Cameron Brink comes in as one of the more like top popular athletes, and then Kawhi Leonard unveiling his New Balance design. So I'm just saying, like, don't sleep. I haven't dove in yet, but New Balance used to be like your stepdad's Velcro shoes or something, and now they're making a comeback.
The Kawhi shoe could be called the DNP.
The load management.
The load management, the DNP. All great brands.
DNP, knee soreness.
Yep. Exactly.
All right, those are Judd's camp notes here, starting your weekend off. He'll be grinding away. And so tomorrow, for sure, a Ventline episode with Dex. We're only a few weeks away from regular season Vikings Ventline, too. So maybe you discovered Purple Daily at some point between the end of last season and now. Vikings Ventline is the place to be right after Vikings games are over on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. So if you haven't clicked that subscribe button on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, please do so.
And Tuesday, Park Tavern, too.
Yeah, we should mention that Park Tavern. So it started off, and the spirit of it is a Score North Twin Show trade deadline watch party at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park, 4 p.m. Tuesday, 5 p.m. trade deadline. So we're gonna just hang out, cheer some drinks, and see what the Twins do. Maybe they've already done something or not, and we can just discuss. Then they play the Mets at 6 o'clock, and it's been hard for people to watch Twins games on TV this season. We will have all of the TVs on the Twins game. But if you want to come and talk Vikings and just hang out with us and ask the Sports Dad Vikings questions, then you can stop by 4 o'clock Park Tavern in St. Louis Park on Tuesday next week.
Yeah, Sports Dad is prepared. Sports Dad will have 2 more days of practice. And if you're Monday should be fun, like interesting.
It's going to be great.
There should be some. It's going down on Monday. That's all I'll tease it by saying.
Yeah, and the tickets are already spoken for this, and you are not part of this, unfortunately. But Monday night, Dex and I are hanging out with a bunch of listeners at the XL Energy Center for Monday Night Raw, the go home Raw before SummerSlam.
Yeah,
It's a big
I'm
week
not
in Score North.
a wrestling guy, but I'll just close by saying assumptions were made about Sports Dad, and because I never got like an offer to go. And
I think we did. I feel like we did. And
well, I would have said no,
rejected.
but I'd like to act aggrieved.
Ross is going to be there.
Yeah.
Dan is going to pop by, who helps run all of Hubbard Radio. He's
Oh,
gonna swing
wow,
by. You're like
I
the only
really
one
got-
who's not going to be there.
I really got left out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Well, he
God.
said he's in like a different
Of
suite
course
with
he
like
is.
big wigs,
Of course he is.
and we said, well, can we come down to your suite? He's like, no, I'll come to you. I don't want you to be 3 beers deep with your Hulk Hogan ripping your shirt off
As
or
if
whatever.
the executives won't be 3 beers deep.
Exactly. That's what I said. Anyways, those are Judd's camp notes on this Saturday. Purple Daily, daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.